Hello everyone and welcome to Ljubljana. This is the capital city of Slovenia. So I went from Slovakia to Slovenia. Those are the two countries whose names actually mean Slavic in their in their native languages. So yeah, this is Ljubljana. It's pretty small actually. Ljubljana is the population of the city is about 300,000 people, which is, at the very biggest, that makes it like a medium-sized city. It's not a big city at all. I guess it's one step above a town, but it's not a large city. It is actually one of the very smallest capital cities in all of Europe. It is somewhat smaller than Bratislava. I'm starting off here just kind of randomly, just because I figured this is, a fairly decent shot of the city. This is the Ljubljana Triple Bridge, so named because it is, it's a bridge over the river with three branches. There's one there, there's another one there, and over there there's another one. And the river, I guess the river itself is not that much to speak of. As you may expect, there is water in it. Yes, I do note the presence, that there is in fact the presence of water in the river, which is probably not that unusual as far as rivers go. I guess there's a marathon here or something, Ljubljanski Marathon. There is a disproportionate number of tourist information centers here in Ljubljana for a city of this size. There is a real effort here to kind of make the city more open and more supportive of tourists and encourage tourists to come to the city. So, here's one right here. You can see there's Ljubljana Tourist Information Center, or in Slovene, as it says over the door, Turistični informacijski center. So there you go. The people there are super nice. They of course speak English. They will give you a free map of the city as well as advice on attractions in the city. Just as was the case in Bratislava, probably the primary attraction here is a castle on a hill, and that's it right there. So I'm going to probably go and get a better shot of that later. But yeah, let's walk around and see what we can find. Okay, so not too great a distance away from where I was. I'm standing here in Congress Square, or Kongresni Trg, as it's called in Slovene. That's spelled TRG. Yes, it's a word with no vowels, and I assume it's pronounced something like Trg. It means just like square or plaza in Slovene. I'm guessing, I don't know what that building there is with the flags on it, which are kind of obscured by these trees, but there's like, the Slovenian flag hanging on that building. I don't know if that's the Congress building and that's why this is Congress Square or what. But there are a few buildings around. I guess that's the Philharmonic Academy. And so on. It's just a lovely little park. Has a nice little fountain there and all that. So anyway, I'm gonna just chill out here and talk about Ljubljana and Slovenia for a while, since honestly there's actually not that much to film in the city. This is, like I said, it's a small, very small city. Ljubljana is by far the largest city in Slovenia, and like I said, it's only 300,000 people. So everything else in Slovenia is under 100,000 people. So basically they're just towns. So Slovenia is really like it's basically just a country made up of small towns. There's not such a thing as a big city. There isn't the big city life here. For those not familiar with the history, I'll touch on the history briefly. Slovenia is the first of the former Yugoslavian nations to join the European Union, and currently the only one. Croatia is joining next year. I'm filming this in September of 2012. Next year, in sometime mid-2013, Croatia is slated to be the second ex-Yugoslav country to join the European Union. But as of right now, Slovenia is the only one. And so it's a unique experience here because there are definitely traces of the communist heritage still evident here, just in the, if not so much in the architecture, at least in the people. The people are just so cool. I love going to these ex-communist countries because there's just something about the people right away that is just very, there's just no, there's no nonsense with them. I mean, they're very friendly, they're very warm, and they have a great sense of humor. But they don't like try to lie to you or bullshit you or try to cheat you or anything like that. The focus here is still on people, as it was in communist societies, because communism was, about spreading the wealth and promoting the community and well-being of people and all that. So yeah, Slovenian people are just, and Yugoslavian people in general are just really nice. They're really awesome people, very friendly, very warm, and they are very quick to make a joke and kind of kid around, but at the same time, they're not like the kind of people to, be nasty to you or like play a joke on you. They're very honest and very helpful. Yeah, so Slovenia is mostly known for, well, I mostly know Slovenia. I don't know about other folks. I mean, I think for most people Slovenia is not very well known, but I mostly know Slovenia through its two big cultural exports. One is the band Laibach, which is actually the German name for Ljubljana. The Slavic name for the city is Ljubljana, but it was called Laibach when this place was under German rule. And there is a band, an industrial rock band from, not actually from the city, but from this country, that calls themselves Laibach as sort of an outraged affront to the times when Slovenia was basically almost like a German colony. Slovenia is, in many ways, as is much of the rest of the Slavic world, very heavily influenced by German culture and the former German empires. So the architecture, just the social structure in general, is kind of reflective of German values. And there's certainly traces of Gothic architecture here and throughout Slovenia. But anyway. So yeah, Slovenia is so small that at least the core of it I think it's just like maybe a couple of miles across. So you can easily walk from one end to the other of Slovenia in, half an hour. In fact, I want to show you something. Remember I was telling you about the tourist information centers, and the people there are so awesome. You can get free maps of the city and everything. Let me show you a map that I got from the tourist information center. I set it down here on the bench. There you go. It almost looks like a joke. You might think I'm joking, but I'm serious. This is like the map of Slovenia that they gave me. So there's this huge green space there, and then that little square there is like the city center. I'm not sure why they didn't just cut this out. I mean, that huge green blob doesn't really tell you very much. I mean, they should have, and other maps do. Other maps actually just show you that center there and kind of show you the interesting stuff, but this kind of, I don't think that was intended, but this sort of emphasizes the very small nature of Ljubljana and how surrounded it is by nature. And if you look closely, see those little orange circles? Those represent points of interest. So if you believe this map, there are only like 5 tourist attractions in the entire city. And also see the blue circles that say TIC on them? There's like 3 of those, and those are the tourist information centers. There's like 3 tourist information centers within like a few hundred feet of each other. So yeah, it's interesting. It's an interesting city. This is very much a city and a country that sort of is on the border. Slovenia has a very interesting history, which obviously I'm not going to go into the whole history here, but it has changed hands many times. Like I said, it was a very German place for a while. For most of the 20th century, it was part of Yugoslavia, which was the other communist empire in Europe besides the Soviet Union. But the thing about Yugoslavia was that unlike the Soviet Union, it wasn't that corrupt. Corruption is not as strong here in this part of Europe as it is in Russia and those places. So this is more like a communism that actually worked. People often say, well, communism didn't work. Look at the failure of the Soviet Union. But what they kind of ignore is that Yugoslavia actually worked pretty well for most people. And I mean, it's not that life was prosperous and people weren't like driving Lamborghinis and stuff like that, but there was a very strong sort of push here to make people equal. And I know that was what the Soviet Union was supposed to be as well, the rule, as that man who arranges the blocks said, the rule of the game is we all are the same. But in practice it didn't really work because some corrupt, I guess they would call them oligarchs, sort of funneled a lot of money their way and ended up profiting unfairly while other people suffered from it. Here there is very much the sort of sense that everybody's equal, and you see that as you travel through Slovenia. There's a very great homogeny. Like I said, Slovenia is mostly just small towns, so you don't get a lot of big cities, but you don't really see a lot of open farmland either. What you do see is a lot of small little villages where there is like a sort of suburban farming going on, which I like. I mean, I really love these sort of communities where people do their own sort of urban farming. So you have a small plot of land. It's not big enough to really be like a farm. There's not like cows grazing and stuff like that, but people will do their own little version of small-scale urban farming, and that creates a nice little community, because now you have these people who they're living in a village. You know, I mean, it's not just way out in the sticks. It's relatively civilized, but you can just get fresh food from like your neighbor's backyard, and so you don't have to truck in food from a farm that's hundreds of miles away, and the food, you know, might be kind of stale by then because it's been in storage for so long. You just get fresh food from your neighbor, or even from your own backyard, because if you live there, you might well have, you know, a little vegetable patch of your own. And that sounds so old-fashioned. I mean, that's a very sort of communist, that's an extremely communist sort of mentality, but I like that. I mean, I really like that kind of thing. And so if you like that, you should probably come here to Slovenia and check it out. The downside to all this, of course, is that there's no big sort of urban excitement. I mean, you know, even here in Ljubljana, the capital, there's certainly nothing, if you're drawn to fashion or, you know, music concerts and stuff like that, obviously there's nothing here. There's nothing here that even approaches what you'd find in, you know, a larger capital city like London or Paris or even Vienna. I haven't talked to anybody about this, like I haven't asked people about this, but I can just imagine, without even asking people, I can just imagine, I think a lot of people who grew up here, like, you know, who were born here and grew up here, probably look at this as a very dreary place. They think, oh, Ljubljana, it's such a small, boring town, there's nothing to do. I mean, if you're American, just imagine a typical American small town, and people from small towns always complain, oh, in my hometown, there's nothing, there wasn't even a movie theater, there was nothing but just, you know, some farmers, and it was so boring, there's nothing to do. So, you know, if you kind of adopt that mentality, if you look at it that way, then you probably shouldn't come here, because you're probably going to be wasting your time. I mean, it's not a Rome, it's not, you know, a city like that. But if you like this sort of idea of being in a place where the emphasis is still very much on people, where people are more important than money, and, you know, friendliness and just getting together and, you know, connecting with people is more important than fashion and all that, then you might just want to check it out. I mean, I really like that myself, and so I'm kind of glad I came here. I'm kind of liking this. But anyway, yeah, so that's Slovenia, and I'll probably talk more. I realize I've been standing in one place just kind of waving the camera around and talking without showing you much of the city, so I'll probably stop here and talk a little bit more later, but I want to show a little more of the city off. Here's a closer view of that building that I was looking at from across the street. There's the Congress Square there, and I still have no idea what this building is. Maybe it is the Congress, but there's a nice little fountain, there's a little plaque here commemorating something or other. Over there you get a nice view of, well, you can just barely see the top of some church peeking out. The sheer number of churches here in Slovenia is insane. Slovenia does border Italy and is historically Catholic, and I think today it's not, you know, people aren't necessarily that religious, but there is an enormous Catholic heritage and history here, and there are so many churches that it's actually slightly ridiculous. I mean, there are, in some places it seems like there are more churches than houses. Oh, and speaking of which, one other thing that I didn't mention, this is one of the few cities I've seen, in fact it might be the only city that I've seen where it seems like there are as many youth hostels as there are hotels. You know, usually when you go to a big city, you see a lot of prominent hotels, and the idea is, oh, you know, we'll go to a nice hotel. But here the emphasis seems to be almost as strongly on just, you know, getting to a hostel and getting some young kids together and having them sleep together in a dorm for the night, which is obviously a lot cheaper and also a nice way to meet people if you're into that. So again, there's that sort of emphasis on community, on getting together, on people connecting with one another, and it's not about the sort of dare I say, Western ideals of, you know, individualism and privacy and keeping people separate from each other and all that. So, you know, again, if you like that, this is probably your place. You should probably come here, because even though communism left, like, you know, communism was taken down a little over 20 years ago, there's still very much that heritage. There's still very much that sense of community-oriented society here. So, you know, if you like that, you can check it out. Okay, I think I was wrong. I'm on the left side of that building that I was at. See, those are the flags in front where I was just at. This is the side of it. I believe this to actually be the University of Ljubljana. And I say that just based on the fact that that appears to match up with what my map indicates. But I see no markings, no indication anywhere on the building suggesting that that might be the case. Even on that door there, there's no identification, but it is, according to my map, it is here at the end of Dvorni Trg. This is another Trg here. Everything in Ljubljana is a Trg or an ulica, which I believe means street. So yeah, I had mentioned, I was talking about Laibach before. So Slovenia, to me, and I think to a lot of people, is mainly known by its two primary cultural exports. The first is the band, Laibach, that I mentioned. The second is the philosopher named Slavoj Žižek. He is arguably one of the most famous contemporary philosophers alive in the world today. And he's been around for a long time, but he was unknown for many years because he started off writing in Slovene, in the Slovenian language, and it wasn't until he started writing in English that his works got some real attention. He did study here at the University of Ljubljana, and I think he actually was, and probably still is, a professor here, although I don't know if he teaches much now. He might be like a professor emeritus or whatever, but part of the reason I came here was sort of a pilgrimage, just because of my own status as a somewhat wannabe philosopher. I wanted to kind of come and see the place where Žižek started off. It's actually not very large at all. I think this one, you know, blocked building is the whole university, so it's certainly not a very large university by any means. Up there you get a slightly better view of the castle, which is obviously on a big hill. Slovenia is extremely hilly. Like it's a very mountainous country. In fact, the flag actually has a picture of a mountain on it, and it's there's a famous mountain in west, like northwest Slovenia, called, I think it's called Triglav or something like that. In fact, the Slovenian 50-cent coin actually has a picture of the summit of that mountain with the text "O Triglav moj dom," which means "O Triglav, my home." Slovenia does use the euro. This is a euro-using country, just like Slovakia, but within the European Union, within the Eurozones, the Eurozone, the different countries that use the euro are mostly permitted to make their own coins. So you see a lot of coins specifically from certain countries. So like there is such a thing as a Slovenian 50-cent coin, and it's a euro coin. I mean, it's 50 euro cents, so you can spend it anywhere in the Eurozone, but it is branded, like it's stamped with a marking designed by Slovenia. So there you go. So yeah, so there's the university, which is a nice looking building, but I don't know if it's a huge tourist attraction unless you study there, which obviously I don't. But let's see what else we can find. This is the front of the Parliament building. Just I'm a little not quite sure what to make of it. I guess it's well, I mean, obviously it's people in different forms, all different types of people. You have you've got a guy up there holding a gear, you know, who's obviously, yeah, there we go. There, a dude holding a gear who I guess is like a mechanic. You have, you know, people. Here's a woman holding masks, so I guess she's like an actress, and also other types of people. So I guess it's just celebrating the diversity of people in all their forms. This is the Trg Narodnih Herojev, which I'm guessing means place of national heroes. So I'm guessing that this guy and probably that person over there are probably national heroes. There's also another sort of monument over here in the shade with some people's names on it, which I guess also commemorates national heroes. Yeah, I was going to say also about the history of Slovenia. If you want to see an interesting documentary, watch Predictions of Fire. That's the English title. It's kind of a quirky movie. It is, you know, it is a Slovenian-made movie, and it is very much about, it's largely about the band Laibach, and in a larger sense, it's also about the NSK movement. So NSK is, that's a German acronym meaning Neue Slowenische Kunst, which means New Slovenian Art. That is a Slovenian art movement which started up in the 1980s when this place was still communist, and it started off as an art movement, later spawned the band Laibach, and Slavoj Žižek, the philosopher who I mentioned, who is one of the most famous philosophers now, he also makes a couple of appearances supplying commentaries in the movie. So basically the movie shows you two of Slovenia's most famous cultural icons, as well as a bunch of other stuff, and a bunch of stuff about Slovenia's history and how many times it changed hands. I mean, the tragic thing about Slovenia's history, or one of the tragic things about Slovenia's history, is how many times it's had to change its orientation, because, you know, it used to be sort of a German place, and then it was part of communism. I don't actually know, unfortunately. I'm kind of ignorant of whether it was annexed by Nazi Germany, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was. It would make sense if it were, because it's, you know, it's right next door to Austria and those other places that were part of Nazi Germany. So you know, just imagine in your 20th century history, you've got a tiny little country of about 2 million people, which starts off being one thing, it gets taken over by Nazi Germany, is liberated, but promptly becomes part of Yugoslavia, a communist union, and then finally in like around 1990 or 91 it's liberated, and now it sort of has this, well, now it's a member of the European Union, so it's sort of beholden to EU legislation and so on. So Slovenia has switched sides, and it's really got a very fragmented history, which is interesting, but at the same time a little tragic sometimes. But you know, through it all, the people have obviously survived, and I'm actually impressed. I mean, I have to say, one thing I do want to say is I'm actually very impressed with Slovenia's ability to still retain its own culture and its own language in the face of so many historical sort of acts of being overtaken. You know, for such a small country, they have a very strong spirit of independence and local community, which is great, actually, in my opinion. Oh yeah, and speaking of the language, I should mention, just as an aside, Slovenia actually has one of the highest rates of trilingualism in all of the European Union. Although I think they cheat a little bit. The thing is, the Slovene language is considered technically different from Serbo-Croatian, which was the sort of nationalized language that was enforced in Yugoslavia. But most Slovenians do speak Serbo-Croatian, even though the two languages are very close to each other. They're so close that they're all pretty much one's just like a dialect of the other. So I think they're cheating a little bit if you count those as two languages. But yeah, most Slovenians do speak both, Slovenian and Serbo-Croatian, obviously, and then a lot of them learn either English or German or both, resulting in a relatively multilingual country. It's, like I said, it has one of the highest rates of multilingualism of any country in the European Union, which is interesting. And English is, fairly widely understood at a very basic level, not with great fluency, but at least, with some reasonable amount of functionality, I think. So. And over here, just on the other side of this place of national heroes where I just was, is the Narodni Muzej Slovenije, the National Museum of Slovenia. This is some sort of a mechanical bird up in the tree that is attached to a loudspeaker that plays sound effects. At first I thought it was supposed to scare animals out of the tree or something, but I think it might just be some kind of weird art project. It plays different sounds. Like before it was playing the sounds of a... Not that, that was a vehicle behind me. Before it was playing the sounds of a train on train tracks or something. There is a sign here. It's it says some kind of mechanical animal. I don't know what the deal is with that. And this is the building that bird is in front of. I guess it's the, according to my map, this is the Slovene National Theatre. Slovensko Narodno Gledališče. I don't know what Gledališče is. I'm guessing it's theater, just based on context, since this is allegedly a theater. But yeah, there you go. There's some very dramatic looking man indicating that this is drama. I'm just going to leave this here. Speaking of graffiti, I don't quite get this graffiti, but it seems to perfectly capture the duality of the Slovene nature. Sorry, I wanted to pause to let those people pass. So the graffiti starts off saying, creating harmony and art, school, graffiti, life, something beautiful, city center, love people, always first, jealous, toys, it's not fair, let's talk street domination forever. So I'm not sure what that's all about, but it seems to at least have a positive message. It's life, something beautiful, love people. Then over here you have a similar work which just repeats, all men are dangerous, all men are dangerous. And in case you didn't quite catch that at the bottom, it also indicates all men are dangerous. Yeah, this is a very Slovenian philosophy, or at least it sounds like something that Slavoj Žižek would say, so I'm guessing it's a Slovenian way of thinking. I'm not sure what this monument is about. I'm not sure if it's actually... is it actually about Napoleon, or... I don't know, I'm not quite sure. I don't know what's up with that, but it's a big pillar right in the middle of the street. So here is a building upon which there is, this sign, which is mostly in Slovene. Well, it's the exhibition in the City Museum of Ljubljana, so I guess it's the museum, but I do note that at the bottom, the sign declares, many heads are better than one. I think I've seen some porn movies that advocate that line of thinking. Well, I mean, if I watched porn, that is. I mean, obviously I don't, but if I did, I might have heard of some that might advocate that kind of mentality. Vladimir Putin actually recently made a very publicized comment that got a lot of media attention on the benefits of group sex. So it appears that Vladimir Putin agrees with this mentality. Exhibition indeed. This is the Slovenian Academy of Arts and Sciences. It has a nice little fountain here in the front. That sign up there appears to list all the different institutions that are based or affiliated here. That is insane. Look how many institutions are actually associated with this place. That's kind of, that's almost excessive. I can't believe there are that many institutions in this one, you know, this one little building. It doesn't look like you'd fit that many institutions into a place like this. So this is a very nice little square that gives you view of the fountain, and no, thank you. These ladies appear to be selling some cookies or something like that. I don't know what. So there's a fountain. There's a nice view overlooking the river here, and there is a place across the river that appears to be called 69 Slam Underwear. I wish to remind everyone. Oh, it's a garbage truck with dragon. Hey, wow. Seriously, check this out. This is a garbage truck with a dragon on the back of it. I can honestly say that this is the first time in my life. Oh, and on the sides as well. It's got dragons on the sides also. This is the first time in my life I have ever seen a garbage truck with a dragon on it. I'm very happy about that. But going back to what I was just talking about, I just want to remind everyone, despite what the source says, you actually want to be careful not to slam it too hard when you are 69ing. Remember, safety first. The old meets the new. So here we have what I believe are two security cameras. Well, that is obviously a security camera pointed that way, and that's like a more modern security camera. But here we can see they have retained a 15th century security camera, which looks very very much in contrast with its more modern brother right next to it. This is the Behemoth bookstore, which is one of the premier English language, one of the premier places in Ljubljana for English language books. Unfortunately, it's situated in this narrow little alleyway in like the most ridiculous place, like in a place where nobody would ever find it unless they know what they're looking for. It's here on Żydowska Steza. So yeah, nice bookstore. Just you have to kind of know what to look for, otherwise you're not going to find it. It's just west of the river. The river's that way. It's just like 2 small blocks west of the river on this little alleyway. I just want to say this is probably the coolest bike rack design I've seen. You know, bike racks, even in design-heavy cities, they're usually quite metallic and gangly and ugly. This one looks very natural and organic. And I mean, it's obviously man-made, but it looks nice. It kind of blends in and doesn't look, look grotesque. The city of Ljubljana appears to be using the marketing slogan, "Where all of Europe meets." I think there might be an element of Slovenian ironic humor under that, because this has indeed been where the front lines of several major European wars kind of converged. Because of its geographic location, this has sort of been the place where East and West Europe have often fought, and that's part of why Slovenia's history is so shattered. So I think, I'm not sure if it was intentional, but I can easily see some Slovenian person recognizing the subtle sort of cultural, ironic double entendre here. So if not, it's actually kind of a fortuitous coincidence, because I think it's kind of funny. I mean, I think it's a very appropriate slogan, but there is sort of a darker meaning to it as well that shouldn't be ignored. Another bridge. Now, seriously, check this guy out. He is getting down. This is Saturday Night Fever on a bridge in Ljubljana. Yeah. Okay, so continuing a couple of recent themes. Yes, I do like bridges, and I do also like dragons. I mean, who doesn't like dragons? Come on, everybody loves dragons. So what could be more awesome than the Ljubljana Dragon Bridge? I'll go ahead and answer my own question. Nothing is more awesome than a dragon bridge. And thus begins the long climb up to Ljubljana Castle, or Ljubljanski Grad. That's the hill, and that's obviously the road. So, if you've ever doubted that anyone likes pizza, here is some further evidence that everyone loves pizza. Even the no stopping sign loves pizza. So I'm still climbing up the hill to the castle, but on my way up, let me just stop to take a view here. This is the view sort of looking down from where I am now, and I believe I think this is the east side of the hill, so this is sort of looking east from Ljubljana at the, the city and the mountains in the background. And another, much better view from another vantage point atop the hill. I'm not sure what this huge structure in the middle is. Is that the, I was going to ask, is that the City Hall, but I don't think it is. But I could be wrong, who knows. And way back there are the mountains, and you can see, oh wow. Again, I'm not sure how well it'll show up on my camera, and they're kind of obscured by clouds, but you can see, if you look around the fringes of the clouds, you can see there is already snow around. Looking at it on the camera, it's a little hard for me to tell what's snow and what's cloud, but I'm hoping that it's kind of apparent. But you can definitely see there is absolutely quite a bit of snow at the top of that mountain range there, which I guess is not that surprising. I mean, it's mid-September, so it's not, it's not winter yet, but up there in the mountains, obviously, it's a lot colder than it is down here, so there's probably, I wonder if there are already people skiing there. I'm curious if there are already, if those are already ski-worthy conditions, but, well, don't know. I don't know how well it's going to come through on the camera. I don't know how sensitive the microphone is on this. But this grass is hissing at me. It's literally like buzzing with, or rustling with the sound of small creatures moving through it. They might be lizards. At first I thought it sounded kind of like insects buzzing, but I think it might actually be lizards, because I saw a fair-sized lizard run into the grass when I walked up just a moment ago. It wasn't huge. It was like maybe a few inches long, so it was like about the size of a person's finger. But there appear to be quite a few of them in this grass, because I can actually hear the rustle of them slithering around. Okay, I made it to the top, and this is the castle. So I do find it interesting exactly what is not permitted here. It is permitted to have animals as long as they're on a leash. You are not permitted to drive cars here. It appears that it is permitted to pick your nose. That's good. That's always helpful. Fire walking is prohibited. Okay, that's random, but... And motorcycles and bicycles are prohibited. And it is also prohibited to have a radiator. I guess it must get pretty cold here, because they forbid having radiators in the castle. Oh well. So here inside this little courtyard in the middle, there's, obviously an information center over there. It's a nice little refreshment stand there. They actually sell pretty decent ice cream. I got an ice cream cone there. It was very good. And, for those who want something a little more full course. There's more fine dining over here. There's nobody on top of it now. It might be hard to tell from here, but that wall in the back is actually there's a walkway. Like in the middle of it, there's a walkway, and you can see there's like one of those little binoculary kind of machines there. I'm surprised there's nobody there. A moment ago there were a whole bunch of people on top of that wall, but now there's not anybody. But anyway, that's one place where you can go to get some sightseeing. Or if you're really wacko and want probably the best view in the whole city, you can climb up that tower. There's also, oh yeah, there's somebody at the top of the tower now, so you can see you can go up there and get a really awesome view there. I'm not sure if you have to pay to get in. I guess I'll check that out. Let's see if you have to pay to get up that tower. So I'm here inside, busily climbing up the stairs. It looks like it's free to get in. I'm guessing this was one of the prison cells they're talking about, since it's locked and you can't get in, but there is stuff inside. Okay, it turns out that you do have to pay to go all the way to the top of that tower. I was able to go like part way up the stairs, but then you reach a point where you have to pay to go all the way up. So, you know, it wasn't that expensive. It wasn't like, it was just a few euros. It wasn't ridiculously expensive. But I figured, what the heck? I'll pass since I think I'm done. I mean, I caught a pretty good view of the city when I was on that hill, anyhow. And I'm sure at the top of that tower it's a really good view. But you should probably go check it out for yourself. If you want to see it, you should come to Ljubljana and take a look for yourself. So I think I'll close out here. So yeah, Ljubljana, obviously, as I said, not a city brimming with tourist landmarks like some other European cities. It's, you know, it's not the kind of place where you have an enormous number of churches and museums and you know, all kinds of things to go and see and do. But, you know, if you just want a nice quiet little town where there's a lot of history, very charming, you know, kind of atmosphere, and great people, I have to say. The people of the former Yugoslavia are among the nicest people I've ever met. They are so cool, and, you know, very generous and all that. So, yeah, if that appeals to you, this is a nice place to go. But I think I can fairly say it's not for everyone. But I'm glad I came here. It was very cool. So, thanks for watching, everyone. I hope that you enjoyed. I will go ahead and say goodbye for now. Or let's see. I can say dobro and hvala. There we go. Dobro means good, and hvala means thank you. So long for now, everyone. Dobro, dobro I hvala. Hey, folks. Just a quick greeting from Graz. Graz is a relatively small city in southeastern Austria, which I have stopped in on the way back from Slovenia. And I'm not going to be here very long. I just wanted to catch this on film. This is the Schlossberg, which literally means castle mountain. It's, you know, pretty big. It's a big attraction in the middle of Graz. At the top of it, unfortunately, you can't see it from here. I'm not sure exactly where it's located, but somewhere up there is the Uhrturm, which literally means clock tower, and it is indeed a clock tower. And I guess there's probably a castle as well. I mean, it's called Schlossberg, so there probably is a castle to go with the mountain. I was thinking about climbing this, but no, this is just a little ridiculous. This is just, I'm frankly not in the mood to climb this today. If you want to see the view from up there, you'll have to climb it yourself. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna go up there and catch the view today. Instead, I'll just turn around and show a nice view of the river. This is the river that flows through Graz. Graz actually has a history as being very important to the Slovenian people. I think at one point in time it was probably more important to Slovenians than even their national capital of Ljubljana. So there's a lot of Slovenian history as well, but it's obviously a German city, or well, an Austrian city, which is almost the same thing. So yeah. So hello and goodbye again. Greetings from Graz, Austria. Take care, folks. Bye bye.